Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. First things first, if you wouldn't mind giving me a like and a subscribe, I'd very much appreciate it. Now this video has been requested more than any other video, so I thought I'd happily oblige in giving you guys a little bit of a machinery tour. So I thought I'd start in what we call the caravan shed. Now the caravan shed is round the back of the yard. It wasn't actually on the farm tour, mainly because it's pretty boring. It's just a big shed full of kit. And we use this shed just for dumping kit in over the winter, just to keep it dry and keep it clean, ready for when we would need it in the spring. So I thought this was a good place to start because there's a lot of stuff in here. I thought I'd go through everything in this shed, starting at the back corner and working my way around because that just made the most sense. And what I'm stood on right now is my sheep shearing trailer. Now I've got two sheep shearing trailers, one of them's down the yard, but this one is one that Dad and I custom made about 10 years ago now, and I used to shear a lot of sheep, and this trailer is probably the best sheep shearing trailer I've ever sheared on. I've sheared on a lot of trailers. It's a race trailer, and all of the doors, there's two doors, two stands, all of the doors are on custom made springs. As you can see here, we've got slatted floors. The race is all painted black because anyone who has done any research into sheep, there's a lot of stuff going on about sheep like a black race. They'll flow something like 17 or 7, I can't remember, % better up a black race than any other colour because they don't like the glare. So that's worth noting if you've got your sheep. I've got a little hole in the floor down here where I've got motors and droppers and all of my electric cables. This race here swings round, it goes out of the back, that side drops down, the front drops down, so we've got plenty of room. We've got electric at the top ready for the motors. This thing is awesome. You shear the sheep, it goes down there. At some point, later on in the year, I still do a little bit of sheep shearing, I don't do much, but I will have it out and I'll show you how it all works then. Next to that, we have the Kuhn mower. It's a 3-meter mower, really good mower, I like it a lot. Actually, when we come to buy that, we priced up the John Deere, which is the same mower, made in the same factory, just the white bits are black and the red bits are green. And that mower ended up being £1,300 cheaper. So make sure you shop around. And I'll definitely buy another one. Although I think I would probably look at the McHale or the Pottinger. Colin Catley does Pottinger and that looks a really good mower. And the McHale I really like because when it folds up for the winter, it stands up. So it would take a hell of a lot less room up in the shed, and I think that'd be really handy. One thing about this is because it swings round, so it doesn't go up the side, it swings round the back. You have to be really careful with it when you're going into gateways and turning into junctions and things like that, because people don't realise how far that swings out, and they'll try and drive underneath it, and you have to be really careful you don't take the cars out with it. Now what you will find is we are a little bit of McHale fans, and well, rightly so, because it is really good stuff, really strong, awesome built kit. This is our McHale bale wrapper. We've had that a couple of years now. We bought it second hand. It's an electronic one. It's got 2 spools, so it wraps. It's not as fast as the Orbital, the new Orbital, but it's nearly as fast as the Orbital, and it's super, super quick. I love that thing. I do all the wrapping, and that thing is brilliant. It's so quick, makes a really good job of the bales, and it's just easy, and it wasn't a lot of money. Really good investment. Just here, tucked in at the front, I've got my Fert spinner. I've run this Amazon Fert spinner. We've had that for, that again is about 10 years old now. It's been quite a long while. We've had it really good. I wash it off every time we use it. So after every single day, I wash it. And I think that's really important with a Fert spreader because if you don't, it corrodes all the nitrogen and that corrodes all the insides. It's on weigh cells, which means that it will weigh and automatically calibrate the flow factor as you use it, which I think is really, really cool. And it helps you be able to put on a little bit more nitrogen where you need it, a little bit less where you don't. Another one of our big McHale bits of kit is the baler. Now, that's a 2012, 13, something like that. It's a V660. It's the bigger variable belt baler. I know they've got a newer version now, which everyone tells me is a lot better than this one, but this is still an awesome baler. We've had a bit of trouble with it this year on the potentiometer on the back, but we've sorted it all out, and I think it will run a dream again. Essentially, we're getting different size bales, which was an absolute nightmare because when it comes to stacking them, it's just chaos. The stack was all over the place, but we've used them now because I was not keeping them around all winter. You cannot feed it hard enough, and even if you do, it's got a drop floor in it, so if you get it blocked up, you just drop the floor, and it sucks it straight back in, put your floor back up, and off you go. I'm a big fan of that. Would definitely buy another one. Now in the back corner here, we have a couple of bits of kit that we don't use overly often anymore, but we used them a lot before we bought the direct drill, and I'll speak about that when we see that in a bit. But that Horse Joker set of 3-meter discs was probably one of the best buys we had at the time. That's a fair age now. I can't remember how long. It's probably getting on 15 years old. And we've used it so much. It changed the way we farmed at the time. We didn't really have a decent set of discs or anything like that, a decent cultivator. And we bought that, and it just made life so much easier. Our fields were flatter. It was a lot easier to drill. And although we don't really use it now, we have kept it because we're just worried that maybe one day we might get some ruts, or we might take on some ground that needs to be plowed or something like that. And it just helps us break it back down again. But really, really good bit of kit. Honestly, I would look at having a set of Horse Joker discs if I was looking. At the time, we looked at the Simba Express, which I don't even know if that exists anymore because it went to Great Plains and I don't even know what it is now. The old drill. Now, the old drill, she's a good old gal. It's a combi drill with Kuhn Power Harrow underneath. We've had that drill for a long time. I only ever remember 3 drills. The one we've got now, our direct drill, that drill, and then we had, when I was a kid, when I was tiny, we had a 4-meter Vicon drill with a plastic hopper. I remember that one, but barely. That drill has been with us for a long time. It's been a really good drill, and we've kept it because when we swapped the drill, we were gonna part exchange it, and we didn't really get a very good deal on it, and we thought, well, we might as well keep it because we can always try and turn it into something or use it for something in the future. And the Power Harrow, again, that one's a 3004 Kuhn Power Harrow. Really, really good. I like the Kuhn Power Harrows. Very, very good bits of kit. Would definitely recommend, if you were looking to buy one, to get one of them. Now there's 3 more bits of kit left in this shed to talk about. We've got the Vigolo topper here, that's from Colin Catley. A good little bit of information about these Vigolo toppers. They're not a massive brand, and you won't have heard of them because you've probably heard of like Kuhn and Teagle and Bomford and whatever else. But a lot of those brands, the motors on them are only rated to like 80 horsepower, 90 horsepower, something like that. This is rated to 200 horsepower. So you can put a big tractor on this and you're not gonna kill it, which you will do with some of those other ones. It's something they don't tell you. And last but most certainly not least for this shed is the ProTech P180S post knocker. Now we bought this post knocker about 15 years ago, something like that. Actually, Philip Marshall got it for us from Cambridge Machinery Sales. And we paid 1,800 quid for it, and it has knocked in thousands of posts. It's one of the best investments we've ever made. I bet we've done tens of thousands of meters of fencing with this. We've done contracting work, all sorts of stuff. It's paid for itself time and time and time again. Hell of an investment, best thing that we ever bought. Now that's it for this shed, but there is much more, so let's go and have a look around in the old top hovel and see what we've got hiding in there. So now we're round at the old top hovel. As you can tell, it's an old pole barn. My granddad put this up, and funnily enough, let me just come out here and I'll show you. My granddad put this shed up and said that when he put it up, you could get every tractor on the farm underneath there. Now we can get no tractors on the farm underneath it. It's absolutely mad. The only thing we can actually get under here is the forklift. You can get it under at the far end. You can't get it under at that end. So everything we have put in there gets put in with this lifting frame just there on the front of the forklift, and we use the boom. It's a bit of a nightmare. This shed does need a good clear out, however, but there is a few little artifacts in here probably worth noting. Combine header, that stays in here. You have to be careful though, because when you put it in, you have to make sure that the reel is level and not one of the vanes at the top, because if it is, you can't get it under that gutter and you'll bend it. We haven't yet bent it, and we don't plan on bending it, but you have to be very, very careful. This little gem behind me is something called a cock pheasant. Now, I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be called, or if that's just what my family call it. I don't know, you probably can tell me. But it's kind of like an old hay straw turning machine, and it's almost like having the combine reel, like this, inside that drum there, and it turns everything over. So if you get it wet, it just flips it on the top. So you can get the top dry, turn it over, so the bottom is then on the top and you can dry it out. I've used that quite a few times years ago when we had an old New Holland baler and we used to bale straw on the neighbours. They had 2 big combines and they used to just come and drop straw, and you could not keep up with them. And if the straw ever got wet, that was my job when I was younger, to go and cock pheasant all of the straw. We have an old-fashioned spider rake in the back there, which I reckon every farmer's got one of them knocking around somewhere. We've got the old subsoiler, which we no longer use since we bought the Claydon. I'll explain that a bit more about that when we get down there. We have the man lift. This is awesome. We bought that. It's a Cherry Manlift. Got it from Colin Catley a few years ago. We use it all the time, and it has made life so much better, so much safer. Whenever you're doing roof sheets or guttering or whatever else, you've probably seen it in some of my other videos. Awesome investment. Really pleased with it. Back here we have a homemade front cultivator right at the back there with actually a loader for the Fordson Dexter, which I'll talk about in a bit. But that loader is for the Fordson Dexter. That's on top. A couple of old chisel plows, which we never use. And we have the plow just here. Now this is a Kverneland plow, a 160. We've had this for years. It's a 3+1 for anyone who knows what that means on plows. So essentially it means it's a 3-foot plow and they've bolted one on the back to make it a 4-foot plow. We never use that, and I actually really want to sell that because we will never use that again. And you can guarantee it. It's just not in my remit. We also have the old Cambridge rolls here, and these are Newbrook Farm machinery. Never heard of them. They work, they do the job. We've had to put some new bushes in them, and I think we really need to do another one. We did one side a couple of years ago and rebuilt it, but really good set of rolls. Would like a new set of rolls. Can't really justify a new set of rolls, but they do the job. So let's take a trip round to the grain store because there's a couple of bits of kit in there. So here we are in the grain store. There's a couple of little bits of kit in here stowed away for good measure. So we have our main grain trailers. These are some AS Marsden grain trailers that my dad bought. I want to say they're like 1987, I think. 1980, they're definitely older than me. He bought these with silage sides. There's a matching pair here, 1, 2. They still have paint on the floor. They've been kept inside their whole life. They're only 8-tonners though, and they're on normal tires. I would love to get some new trailers or get a new trailer. We have 4 trailers on the farm. We have these 2 good ones. We have 2 older ones, which are down the yard. We use for muck and stuff, but these 2 are always kept just for the good stuff, just for the grain, and they were used for silage when we used to do clamp silage. I do really like them. They are good, but we need a modernisation. We need some like decent ones, 12 or 14 tonners with some flotations, just to make life a bit easier, because a lot of the time we're muck carting on our own and things like that. And I think it would make life a lot easier if we just had a bit bigger trailer, because 8 ton doesn't go very far when you're filling it full of muck. And here we have one of the first of our tractors in the tour. So this is our 6620. We've had this, we bought it second hand. I can't remember what year we bought it, but it came from the neighbouring farm next door. It's been a good tractor. We've had a few issues with it. We've had a few electrical issues with it, and we've had a clutch issue with it, one thing or another, but it's all been sorted, and it does the job. Pulls like a train, and it sounds awesome. You should just crack the window out open. Oh, it's a beast. And it is on our McConnell PA6565 hedge cutter. This is my little baby. I cut the hedges, and I have done for a long time. Since I was about 13 or 14, I've always cut the hedges. Before that, my granddad used to do it. He retired, and it just became my job. Before this hedge cutter, I had a PA93 on a right-hand cut on cables, and it was a nightmare, but I made the best of it, and I did as good a job as I could. But now I've got this, and I love it. It's amazing. I'll show you the joystick, because it's on a motion control joystick, which is the basic joystick for this range, but I think it's still awesome. I think it still does the job, and it's plenty good enough for what I want to do with it. This is the joysticks. This is the motion control. It's a fully proportional control, just a little joystick. I hit essentially got all these little buttons here, which is for your different reels, backwards and forwards and whatever else, off buttons. And you can put different drivers on here and one thing or another. And when I say by fully proportional, what I mean is that if I move this lever a tiny little bit, then the hedge cutter moves a little bit. It gets a tiny little bit of oil flow, but if I move it all the way, it gets more oil flow and it will move faster. Essentially, we have like up and down, in and out, and we have a twist on the head. And then this is for the slew and for the telescopic arm, which means that essentially the hedge cutter can get further away from me if I really need it to. On the other side of the grain store wall, we have another one of our trailers. This is the old ranch trailer. That's one of the main ones we use for muck and that kind of thing. One of the older ones. It's got some seed oats in it at the minute, ready for me to drill in the spring. And this is just an old trailer. This was the trailers that we had before we had the AS trailers. We have 2 of these with silage size. They're 4-ton trailers on single axle, but this one's got wild bird feed in it for our stewardship scheme. And we have the old Vendracrop grain dryer, which we try not to use. I hate grain drying, mucky job, but we could do with a better one because, yeah, I'd like an electric one really. Oh yeah, and I know you spotted it, bit of fertilizer. That's last year's, bit left over. cheap fertiliser now. I'll sell it here for £700 a tonne. Only joking, I'm not selling it, I need it. Now we'll make our way over into the feed store where we've got a couple of little bits of John Deere kit. We've got the old John Deere 3200 forklift. This thing is probably one of the best bits of kit we've got. It's been really reliable, it gets used every day, used more than any other bit of kit. And it's just really good. It's just simple, dead good. As I've mentioned before in other videos, if they still made them, I'd buy another, but they don't. We have our Emily bucket. Now, if you've not seen my Emily bucket video, go and check it out when we got this. This is pretty new. We've had this 3 months or so now, and it's awesome. It is so good. We replaced our Keenan feeder and a tractor with this bucket. We have it on the front of the forklift. We do all of our mixes in this bucket. We do everything. We feed out with it. We've got a weigher on the fork truck that we use it with. Go check the video out if you haven't seen it, but that has been an amazing improvement. It's made such a difference to us when it comes to feeding cattle. And last but not least for this shed, I have the 125R. Now, anyone who follows me on Instagram will know that I have a bit of a tentative relationship with this, should we say. I'm not a big fan of this tractor. Now, we bought this tractor, I thought, you know what? I didn't really want it. I actually wanted Dad to buy me a 6930 at the time. We bought this and it's been okay, but it has no end of troubles. It's forever breaking down. The radio doesn't work. We've had new track rod ends. We've had oil pipes blow. We've had water pipes blow. We've had oil pipe underneath the cab blow. We've had steering issues with it. We have electrical issues all of the time. It drives me mad, and I absolutely hate this tractor for it. It is so annoying, but it is what it is. I can't afford to get rid of it, so I just have to put up with it. It's kind of the main tractor. We do loads of stuff with it. I have a loader on it in the winter for loading up the straw shredder, and it has front linkage from one thing to another. But would I buy another one? Considering the issues we've had with this, we had a 5-year warranty on it, the service, and that has been shocking. I will not be buying another John Deere. Now, it's just dawned on me that this video is going on a little longer than I was expecting it to do, and is so much more to see. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split this down into 2 videos. So if you've enjoyed this so far, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss the second video, which will come out on Sunday at 6 p.m. But until then, look after yourselves and I'll see you all soon. Bye.